Chair Murray.
Well, thank you very much, Chair Baldwin. Thank you, Acting Secretary Sue, for coming here, joining us today. DOL has a really crucial charge, and that is protecting workers who are truly the backbone of our economy. It should not be controversial to say that we want all of our workers to have good wages and benefits and fair treatment from their employer and safe workplaces. And the department does crucial work on those issues, cracking down on wage theft, ensuring workplace safety, and even in some cases fighting discrimination. So I'm really pleased you're here today to talk about what resources you need to support your work and support our workers. Let me start with a topic that I've been particularly concerned about, the rise in child labor. The number of children and youth found employed in violation of federal law has risen 88% since 2019. In my home state of Washington, a record number of businesses have been fined for violating child labor laws in recent years. Senator Casey and I actually introduced the Child Labor Act to help combat child labor and strengthen the law. And I know that DOL is already doing a lot to enforce our existing child labor protections. Can you talk with us about what the funding levels in your budget request would mean in real terms for child labor outreach and enforcement efforts?
Thank you so much, Full Committee Chair Murray. It's very good to see you. And thank you for raising this very important issue. As I think everybody knows, we have seen a rise in child labor. Part of the reason is because the Department of Labor is doing our job. We are exposing these practices, we are putting a stop to them, we are issuing penalties and using the full authority that we have, not just penalties, but using hot goods and other ways to ensure that goods that are touched by child labor are not, companies are not able to profit from it. So our budget request includes an overall increase of $35 million for the wage and hour division, with $7.5 million of that for child labor. We also have to keep in mind that our solicitor's office, the attorneys who advise on cases, who brings litigation to drive home the seriousness of enforcement, are also funded. And so both of those are part of the funding request. And we simply cannot stop the scourge of what we see, which has already been mentioned, right? 13-year-olds working on the kill floor of a meatpacking plant on the night shift with dangerous chemicals, or a 16-year-old who recently died at a sawmill. It's unconscionable that this is happening, and the Department of Labor often stands as the most important bulwark against those kinds of practices. And so our budget request is meant to stay within the bounds of the Fiscal Responsibility Act, but also increase our capacity to address this.
So you're asking for funds for both the Wage and Hour Division and the Office of Solicitor working together to combat this. Thank you. I think that's so important. Another issue that I've been very focused on is combating wage theft. Workers deserve to be paid the full wages they earned, but unfortunately some companies in the country are denying workers tens of billions of dollars in hard-earned pay each year. I actually introduced the Wage Theft Prevention and Wage Recovery Act to put money back into workers' pockets by protecting their right to fair and timely pay and strengthening accountability for wage theft violations. I'm going to keep working on that, but I wanted to ask you today, what is the Department of Labor doing right now to fight wage theft?
So this is one of the most important things that we do, is to make sure that every worker gets a just day's pay for a hard day's work. We see violations of basic failure to pay the minimum wage. The majority of violations we see when it comes to wage theft is in overtime, so workers not being paid when they work over 40 hours. And we have, our investigators are in the field every single day uncovering these kinds of violations. It should be, I think, obvious to many that for employers who choose to violate the basic labor laws, they will go to great lengths to prevent those practices from being found. And so it's very important for the department to be able to gain the trust of workers, to learn about what is going on, to be able to do inspections at the workplace, to, for example, be able to see whether records are being kept and what exactly is going on in the workplace. For those employers who've decided that it's cheaper to break the law and the chances of getting caught are slim, and the consequences, even if they do get caught, are minimal, we need to tell them that that is not the proper way we're not going to allow those kinds of violations. And it's also very important, we hear this often, is from other employers in that industry who are complying with the law, need to know that the Department of Labor will help them ensure a level playing field.
So there's fair competition. Exactly. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.